Hey, what's up everybody? Today I wanted to talk about why you should pass on the Nikon D7500 if you were looking at that camera, especially if you're in the market for a particularly a Nikon DSLR, but it applies to other people as well. And the reasons that I'm going to say that, part of it is historical, has to do with the things they pulled out of that D7000 series camera. Previously it was a fantastic camera, and if they would have kept the features that they pulled and made the camera as they did, it would have been fantastic. But they didn't want to do that because they wanted to make sure they could sell the D500. They also upped the price on it despite pulling out the features. So you know, there are some good things about this camera, and it pulls a lot of the features from the D500. As I mentioned, it has the same sensor and processing engine, so it does have a really good image quality, but there are just too many things they pulled out of it to make it a good choice these days with other options on the market. So the first thing that they pulled out of it that is really a big deal is the ability to use a vertical battery grip. And I'd never really used one of these until about 6 months ago, and I got by for years without it. But once I actually got used to one and used it a couple times and stuff like that, it's fantastic. Not only the extra battery capacity, but also the ability to shoot vertically, keep your, without pulling this maneuver here, arm above your head and all that. It makes a big difference, especially on a long day doing like event photography or something like that. It also can make the camera feel a lot better in the hand and stuff. So there's a lot to it, but it's one of those things that you don't know you wanted that until you got used to it, and then it's gone. So one thing this camera's really been lacking in is its video features, and traditionally Nikon has been known that it lacks in its autofocus ability in video modes, and that's still true with this camera. And hopefully one of these days they'll fix that, because the actual video quality is not bad. And what that leads me to do is I do a lot of manual focus for video. And as far as that goes, it works for some situations, doesn't work for others. And for a lot of artistic shots and stuff like that, you want to use manual focus anyway. However, Nikon decided to pull the camera's ability to function with the older manual focus lenses. So that's one main feature that really drags this camera down, in my opinion, is the inability to use those old school lenses like that. And so and it's funny because that feature had been a part of the 7000 series for 3 cameras before that. Since the 7000 series came out, it was 7000, 7100, 7200, and then they came out with this, the D7500, and when they did, that's when they pulled all these features and stuff. And I really think it was a cost-saving measure, and just to kind of see where what the market would accept. And I have some evidence to back that up now that they've come out with the Nikon Z mirrorless camera systems, because they tried to do the same things in that series there, as far as not being able to have a secondary card slot and stuff like that. So another thing they did to cripple this camera was pulled out the secondary card slot. And traditionally that 7000 series had a secondary card slot before this. And as far as it goes, some people argue that professionals are the only ones that need the secondary card slot. I disagree. I think anyone shooting photos of their family and friends really want that too. Pretty much every photo you take is a once-in-a-lifetime photo. It's really hard to recreate a specific photo ever again after the fact. And especially if you're going to use a camera to travel with or do any kind of photo assignments for clients or anything like that, it's really important. I have another video here that basically is a longer way of saying that, if you want to check that out. So a couple things that they did do right. They did pull the 20 megapixel sensor from the D500. It is 4 megapixels less than what the 7000 series had before that, but the 20 megapixel sensor that they used is actually a really good sensor. Has a really good engine processing system. Not quite as fast as the D500, of course, but the metering system's really good. ISO quality is really good. They did put the ISO button in the new Nikon location, which is a lot better spot for it and everything. Makes it really good to have that. So they do have 4K video, although with a extra crop factor on it, so that's a little unfortunate that they did that. But the 4K video quality is decent. You just got to back the camera up a little further than you would have had to before. They do have a built-in flash on the camera versus the D500 if that's really important to you. But most people just use triggers these days anyway, so built-in flash isn't that helpful for most people. So again, as far as the camera itself, it's got a decent quality image. It's more about how you use the camera, all kinds of technicalities behind that as to whether that's the camera for you or not. So my advice to anybody looking at a Nikon DSLR would be to skip the 3000 and 5000 series cameras. They've actually, pulled a lot of the extra features and buttons off of it and things like that. It just makes it a little harder to operate, though the image quality is still good. So my suggestion has been for a long time to go with the 7000 series. And before, it cost a little more money to get into that line, but now that we have older generation cameras available, you can get into a D7000 or 7100 now for the same price that you would get into a 3000, 5000 series these days. So, my suggestion is go for a 7000, 7100, 7200 over the 7500 camera. And that will stay my recommendation. Hopefully Nikon will, fix their lineup a little bit in the next year or two to compete on the global market, I'm hoping. So I hope this video will help some of you guys out there that are on the fence on buying this D7500 camera. Considering all the other things on the market, there's plenty of rivals that give you better functions and features for the price. I love Nikon, but you really kind of messed that one up a little bit. Camera is a good camera, but as far as it goes, there's a lot better value for your money. Definitely consider the 7200 or the D500 over the D7500. So anyway, guys, hope this helps you, and take care.